Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. In this video I am going to share with you one strategy that you can implement, and that one strategy itself will become or make you financially independent. So let's look into that. What is this strategy? Okay, so the strategy I am talking about self-managed super fund. Now let me explain how these things works. First of all, if you don't know what SMSF is, like you know it, in Australia you are paying 12% money into super, and that 12% is, whether it's an industry super, then it is going, and then from there onwards it's growing by value, right? So you are putting that money. Prior to that, if you want to access, then of course you will be basically need to pay some sort of a penalty or the interest as well, tax as well. So what's the strategy? First of all, I'm talking about commercial property. So how you can blend it. So listen to me carefully. Commercial property is for income, right? You get high cash flow, high income. Now how you can do this? First of all, you can set up and something called SMSF. Now if you have already set it up SMSF and through that you bought some other investment, then you know how this SMSF can be set up. But in other words, it's kind of a trust, self-managed super fund. So basically you are not relying on this industry super fund, then you are relying on yourself. So you created a trustee, and the trust and particularly like even husband, wife sometimes, or even like older kids, they all combine and create that trust. Let's say if you have $150,000 in your super, your wife or spouse have another 150,000, that will combine, the SMSF will become 300,000. Now why this strategy is important? First of all, if every single year you can actually pay into super, and till the time you reach 55, you will keep on paying the super. So if you do that calculation, that money itself is going to be a huge. But that is, let's say, just for argument's sake, like somebody who is in their 35 and they will start accumulating this super for the next 20 years, and each year if they are actually doing some extra contribution as well, so roughly about, let's say, 30,000, so on an average I would say 600,000 they will actually deploy the money, plus they will get the return also, right? So 600,000 that you will be actually putting into super. So what is happening then? What you can do using SMSF, what you can borrow money based on that whatever SMSF setup that you did. So in a nutshell, like if you have 300,000, you could borrow up to 700,000 and make it $1 million. Now, of course, there are some certain rules and regulations. So what you can do is that you can purchase a commercial property of $1 million, and that $1 million, let's say, it will give you about $70,000 net rent, and that $70,000 rent, it is going to go up every single year on year basis. So it is going to give you cash flow. So even though if you are actually borrowing 700,000, after all your mortgage payment and everything, you get to keep another $15,000-$20,000. So now the next year you are paying 30,000, your spouse is also paying 30,000, and you are also getting income of 20,000 from that commercial property. So you see the 30,000 plus 30,000 plus 20,000 becoming 80,000 in the next year, and the following year is another 80,000 that is coming. Then in about 3 or 4 years time, you will be accumulating another $300,000-$400,000. So then you would be again creating kind of a way of borrowing more money and then buy another commercial property. And then from that onwards, then there will be 20,000 will be coming for 2 commercial property, and then similarly $60,000 you are actually deploying. So now from that onwards, it is going to come 100,000 every year. Then another 5 years, then another $400,000-$500,000 would be in super, pay off, borrow another commercial property. That way, every 5 years, 5 to 7 years, you have a potential of buying a commercial property. So whatever age you are right now, let's say you are in your 40s, let's say in 40s till 55 or 60, so about 20 years. So technically you can buy 3 to 4 commercial properties. If you are in your 30s, then you can buy even 4 or 5 commercial properties. And if you are in 20s, then this can going to be like exponential as well. Why SMSF? Because in Australia, the only way you can save tax, or the only way that you have the tax minimization strategy, is pushing more money into super. There is very less strategies that you can do other than pushing money into super. So this is the maximization of super. So for you, what you need to do, you need to only think about how you can live your life, a quality life till about 55, because you know after 55 you have strategically deployed money in such a way that you do not have to think, because the super is such a nice vehicle that you can use from 55 onwards. Any money that is coming, and particularly after 60, once you will become like, you know, retire kind of things, any money that is coming, the cash flow is coming from these commercial properties, all are tax free, 100% tax free. Think about it. This is literally, you are retiring means you need less money, and on top of that you are getting money from this super, which is like that 100% tax free. And having 100% tax free income is pure gold. In fact, in that time, you know, you will be like, if you can buy 2 or 3 commercial properties in your lifetime, that 3 commercial properties is going to be enough. It's significant to borrow, to basically, you know, fund your retirement. That is not possible to any other investment. If you buy residential properties using that strategy, what's going to happen is that after that also, unless you sell those properties, there is not enough cash flow. You know, residential property, there is not enough cash flow. Whereas in commercial properties, you will keep on getting the cash flow. You might be even more creative, and those 2 or 3 or 4 those 3 or 4 commercial properties you can combine, sell it up, and buy a bigger commercial properties as well. That is also possible in super fund, and at that time, if you do, it's pretty much like a tax free kind of things. So do not neglect super, is my point. That is one strategy. If you can play it safely, if you can play it nicely, of course I'm not a, you know, super expert, so you need to get the right kind of advice, but understand the concept that I am saying, which is pay off your super as much as possible, whatever age you are right now, and then use that money and create a fund, borrow money, and then borrow into, you know, commercial properties which can give you more income, and using that you would be able to grow much faster, and once you retire you will have the better income, and those are always tax free. I hope that can click something that can give you an idea of how you become financial independent, you know, in your just with one strategy. Forget everything else, you know, spend whatever money that you have, but push into super, use that super money to buy commercial properties. Hopefully you got the idea of what I'm trying to explain, and that way you can now learn more things about super, learn more thing about SMSF, learn more thing that in under SMSF how you can borrow money, learn more thing about how you can buy commercial properties, what type of commercial properties you can buy that can give you cash flow, and then how learn also talk to your accountant how it can be tax free, 100% tax free legally, and how you can become financial independent. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.